Home media reviews, where are you? We got some videos to do now. You said you'd be back last week with Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. But then it turned out that you didn't do that video. You just put out a Thomas and Friends home media review. It wasn't even a full review. It was a supplemental on James Learns a Lesson. Home media reviews, where are you? Everyone's really angry that you delayed the review a whole week because you have a real life. That was completely off the top of my head. I'm very proud of that, you know? I thought I sounded okay there. Hello everyone, welcome back to the season 4 finale of Home Media Reviews. So contrary to one person's comment about how I was, quote, too lazy, unquote, to finish this season of Home Media Reviews, I'm back. Here we go. Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in to the history section of Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. So Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost hit theaters? Never. This is not a theatrical movie. This was a direct-to-VHS film. It was the second of Warner Brothers' first batch of direct-to-video Scooby-Doo films. It did hit VHS on October 5th, 1999. Appropriate time. This is a sort of spooky movie, for kids at least, so it's appropriate that this came out in the month of Halloween. On March 21st, 2001, this movie then hit DVD, and the DVD was one of those really early releases. It had that clipper case on it, that weird, gross kind of packaging. I don't like that style of packaging, if you couldn't tell, where it's just a cardboard slip on front and you use this plastic tab to hold the case shut. Hate that. I'm so glad we moved away from that as a society. Then on April 13th, 2004, we got the Scooby-Doo Collection DVD set. This was a nice little boxed set, which included 3 movies. This included Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders, and Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. I just realized I never talked about my history with this movie, and that's mainly because I don't have a lot of history with the Scooby-Doo franchise. I was really into Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. I think everyone had a phase where they watched classic Warner Brothers cartoon stuff. I watched the classic Scooby-Doo show from the 60s, Cartoon Network, I think it was, back when that was airing in reruns. I was more into What's New Scooby-Doo, which was a newer cartoon series. I haven't heard a lot of love for that show. I've rewatched a couple of episodes from it. It definitely skews more younger, but I still kind of enjoy it. I have seen a lot of these direct-to-video films, though. I've seen Zombie Island, it's fantastic. I've seen Alien Invaders, haven't seen it since childhood, though. And, of course, have now seen Witch's Ghost. Hope is really more of the Scooby-Doo fan out of the two of us. She has a lot of the Scooby-Doo movies already in her collection. I primarily saw Scooby-Doo films on television on Cartoon Network. That's where I saw Zombie Island, Alien Invaders. I think Legend of the Vampire was one that I saw when I was younger. If that's the title of one, I think. Something to do with a vampire. But I saw those airing on Cartoon Network. I never owned any physical media of these films. So moving on February 8th, 2005, Witch's Ghost got a DVD reprint, which is the copy that you'll be seeing in the close-up coming up here soon. It now has an orange bar on the top of it as opposed to the Warner Brothers logo. So that's a fun change. Then 15 years later, on October 6, 2020, so fairly recently, the Monster Movies DVD collection released. This included 8 titles. I'm not sure how much this retailed for, but that's a stellar lineup. This included Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, Legend of the Vampire. Okay, yes, that's the one that I saw as a child. I saw that one the most when I was a kid. That one was one of my favorites. It had the Hex Girls in it, I'm pretty sure, like this movie did. Loch Ness Monster, Where's My Mummy, Curse of the 13th Ghost, Franken-Creepy, Music of the Vampire, and Moon Monster Madness. Those last few are fairly modern. From what I've found in my research, they all came out in the mid to late 2010s, while Legend of the Vampire and Loch Ness Monster, that stuff came out like in the early 2000s, maybe early 2010s. I haven't seen Loch Ness Monster or Where's My Mummy, although I do have a screener copy of the Loch Ness Monster. Well, Hope has a screener copy of it because I gave it to her, but I did find it at a Goodwill. Side note, there must be somebody in my town that was a member of like a critics board or something, because there are a ton of screeners that have showed up at my Goodwills over these last few months. I found a bunch of old What's New Scooby-Doo screeners at Goodwill. I found a Loch Ness Monster screener. I found one of a movie starring George Clooney. It's like some sci-fi film. I'll throw a photo of it on here. Solaris, I think's what it's called. Never heard of it, but it's a screener, so I picked it up for 99 cents. No way I could say no to that. As far as history goes, that's it. That's the most recent print of Witch's Ghost that's out there. This doesn't have a Blu-ray release. And in fact, I don't think it's streaming anywhere right now. I think the only way that you can watch it is on a physical release. I know it's not on HBO Max because they're purging their animation stuff right now, which is ridiculous. That's a whole other discussion. We might talk about that during this month's live stream, but oh my gosh, HBO Max, what are you doing? I shouldn't really be saying what is HBO Max doing. It's the entire board at Warner Brothers who's being run by, what's his name? The CEO of Discovery, David Zaslav, I think is his name. I don't know what his problem is, but he's canceling everything. Anyway, before I go on a major rant about how I hate the state of our streaming world right now and how physical media is so important, let's move right along to the close-up section. Alrighty everyone, here's your close-up at Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. We got full-length movie up there in an orange bar, movie's logo, there's Shaggy and Scooby, as well as Velma and the Mystery Machine running away from, I presume, the Witch's Ghost at the time of filming this close-up. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I assume that's what the Witch's Ghost is. This is a nice poster. It's got some nice colors to it. The side, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. It actually continues the front poster here, which I really like. You can see the side of the house there, and then the side of the road. Got a product number, Warner Brothers logo, and a DVD logo. Back has your barcode. Got a little tagline about the movie, and then a blurb about it as well. And then there are some screenshots from the movie. Your special features include a making of documentary, movie trivia, Scooby music video, as well as a character bio, as well as character bios. You got cast and crew information down there, tech specs and all that down there at the bottom. So if we take a closer look here, you can actually see up here on the top, wow, this DVD is actually sealed. That's right, I have a sealed Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. What are you doing with your life? And actually, this isn't even mine. This is actually Hope's. I found this for her at a Goodwill, I don't know, 6 months ago maybe. And I gave it to her as a gift, and she hasn't opened it yet. So we're going to watch this together for this home media review whenever we actually watch it. By the time you're seeing this video, we will have watched it. So this is actually hers, and she's given me permission to open it up here on camera. So let's open it up here. I made a little slit there in the cellophane prior to recording this video, just to make it easier. Somebody out there is probably screaming at me, "No, don't open it, it's sealed!" Well, I just did. So there she is, out of the cellophane. Let's open her up. No insert. That's disappointing. There's our disc. No artwork, just reflective gray. That's also not very cool, Warner Brothers. I really like artwork on my discs. You didn't give me that, so I'm disappointed. So that's it for your close-up. Let's move right along to the menu tour. Alrighty, everyone. Here we are for our menu tour of Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost in glorious 4:3 aspect ratio, because this entire movie is in 4:3. Yay! We have a simplistic menu here. We got play, movie, scene selection, special features, and languages, each with a witch's hat on them. And then it's taken some pieces from the standard poster art, like this image of Scooby and Shaggy, this image of the witch, and then the logo, but the background has been completely changed. So let's take a look at scene selection. So each scene has a screenshot, a number, and also a little subtitle. That's fun. You can also start the movie from this menu as well. So we have 21 scenes, 20 if you don't count the credits. 20 scenes for a movie that barely goes over an hour. Pretty good amount of scenes there. Our special features include the Mystery Inc. bios, the Scooby-Doo Dare, making of special, music video, a trailer, and sneak peeks of Scooby videos. Now, I wanted to just take a look at this little featurette here about the witch's ghost, because on the back of the case, it touts this as a documentary. Now, I don't know about you, but a documentary to me is, an hour long or so. If we pause this documentary here while this guy is drawing a photo and take a look at the runtime, this documentary goes for 3 minutes. This is a featurette, not a documentary. That is falsely labeled. It's still cool that we have any kind of bonus content here to start with, but I mean, calling that a documentary, that's not what a documentary is. Cool that we got a trailer and some sneak peeks though. And then your language options include English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. And then we have this little subsection here. We got Scooby-Doo and all related characters and elements or trademarks of and copyrighted by Hanna-Barbera. Artwork and supplementary material copyright 1999 Hanna-Barbera, blah, 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 blah. That's just a copyright notice, I guess. So a simplistic menu. I'm still kind of mad about that documentary being called a documentary when it's really just a featurette. So a simplistic menu. It gets the job done, though. And with that, that wraps up the menu tour. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. Alright, so we're back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? You can pretty much only find it on eBay. It's not sold in stores, or at least it hasn't been since 2020, so I'd say check eBay or online retailers, Amazon maybe. I found mine at Goodwill, like I said in the close-up, and it was sealed too, so I keep saying mine. It's not mine, it's Hope's. We're not married yet, so technically it's not mine, it's hers. I'm just borrowing it, but we found ours, I'll say that, at a Goodwill. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? No, it is not. And it's also not streaming anywhere. So all you people out there saying, oh, streaming is the future, physical media, you don't need it anymore. What if you want to watch Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and you don't have a physical copy? In layman's terms, you're screwed! Number 3, should you pick this product up? I mentioned earlier how I have a history with the Scooby-Doo franchise, but I've never really been a huge fan of it. I've liked it. There have been a lot of things from it that I've enjoyed. It's never really been my favorite, though. The gold standard for me has always been Zombie Island, and that's a lot of people's standard for a Scooby-Doo film, because that was just revolutionary for its time. So when I heard that Witch's Ghost was considered by some fans to be better than Zombie Island, I thought, all right, sign me up. I'm here for it. Witch's Ghost tells the story of the Mystery Incorporated gang. They're in this small town called Oakhaven, where this author who Velma is obsessed with, named Ravencroft, voiced by Tim Curry, fantastic vocal role. I love Tim Curry in pretty much anything. They're in this small town, and there's apparently a witch's ghost, if you will, that's haunting this town's fall festival, and the gang has to figure out, hey, who's causing it? Because it's obviously somebody behind a mask. So to start, I like all of these characters. Their voices are great. This isn't my definitive Shaggy voice, though. He kind of sounds like he hasn't hit puberty yet. Like Scoob, we've got to eat, man. I'm getting real hungry. I do think that it's impressive, though, that the same voice actor plays Shaggy and Scooby. That's a pretty good performance. I had no idea that that guy voiced both Shaggy and Scooby. My Shaggy voice is probably the voice actor from What's New Scooby-Doo. That's always been like my Shaggy voice to me. Maybe that's sacrilege to the Scooby-Doo fandom. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of love for that show. Everybody else sounds pretty good, though. I really enjoy all of these vocal performances. The absolute standout, though, is Tim Curry as Ravencroft, because he's so villainous. Even though this movie wants you to think that he's not the main villain. Come on, he is. And Curry's not doing a lot to hide that, and I kind of appreciate it. The animation also looks pretty good for it being direct to video stuff. It doesn't look too cheap. I mean, there's a couple of points where it does, but I really enjoy the setting for this movie, the lighting and all that stuff. It looks pretty good. This movie is also where the Hex Girls are first introduced, and I gotta say, these aren't really characters. They're kind of just props to move the story forward. They're cool, and I like all of their voices. The main girl, I think her name is Thorn. That's June from Avatar, The Last Airbender. She's that bounty hunter chick. I thought I recognized her voice while I was watching it. I had to go to IMDb to confirm, but that voice actress gets a lot of work. But anyway, she's June from Avatar, The Last Airbender, so go back and watch that show, because it's fantastic. But I like them. I think their music's pretty good. I'm a hex girl, and I'm gonna put a spell on you. Pretty good tune. I got that stuck in my head for a day or two, because it just relentlessly repeats over and over again. But that's good for an earworm. I also did like how at the end, Thorn has to put Ravencroft back in the book, because, spoiler alert, there's an actual witch. She has to put Ravencroft and the witch back into the book. That gives her sort of an arc in the movie. I liked that. It's kind of hard for me to review this as like a full-fledged movie, because it's really just an hour-long episode of the Scooby-Doo series. Like, it has good pacing at points, but at other points it's very slow, because it's like we gotta pad this out for time, we gotta reach the hour-long mark, which isn't a bad thing. They hide it well. It just, when you go back and think about it, you can really notice that. There's some good character work. There's a lot of good scenes. The scene at the diner is pretty funny, where Shaggy and Scooby eat all that food and they walk out and they're fat. Fun body jokes, huh? That was pretty funny. That made me laugh. Really, the whole reason why I think that Witch's Ghost is memorable, and why a whole lot of people think it's so amazing, is because of the end. It's kind of like Rogue One. Rogue One is kind of a slog throughout the first two halves, but that ending just, wow, it blows you away. Kind of how I feel about Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, too. After the fake witch is unmasked, and it's like, oh my gosh, nothing about this is supernatural in any way. I actually was kind of disappointed by that, because I thought the movie was over. I was like, that's it? That's what people said was like the best thing since Zombie Island? That's ridiculous. That's horrible. I don't like this movie at all. And then, when Ravencroft is revealed to be the Tim Curry villain that he was set up to be, the movie takes a shift, and then it's like 10, 15 minutes of nonstop action, and I loved every second of it. The ending is where the animation shines, where the voice acting shines, characters shine. The ending is just really fun. And to me, it kind of redeems the whole movie. Like, the movie itself, it's okay, but then that ending, it makes it pretty good in my opinion. It elevates it from just a normal, this is a fun little diversion for 45 minutes. It changes it to, wow, that was pretty fun. It's not very smart. I could see the twists coming from a mile away, especially now that I've seen it, but it's still kind of fun. So do I think that the Witch's Ghost is better than Zombie Island? No. Zombie Island is still really fun. That's like peak Scooby-Doo cinema right there. But the Witch's Ghost is a solid follow-up. I'll give you Scooby-Doo fans out there that. It's a solid follow-up. I don't think it's the best thing since Jesus Christ, like some people do, but it's pretty good, and I'm going to recommend that you see it. Middle of the road, though, for me. It's not like I'm probably not going to watch this again in the coming years, but it's nice to see, and I'm glad that I did watch it for this review, so now I know that, yeah, it's pretty good. And I think that you should see it too if you haven't. Plus, it's really short. It's like an hour and 6 minutes, I think, and part of that's credits, and it does a lot for it only being an hour long. It does make you feel satisfied by the end of it. You feel like you've gone through a journey with these characters, even though it is a short one, but it's a fun one nonetheless. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Pretty much anywhere that you can find it cheap. And number 5, what price should you pay? This DVD and VHS are not very rare. Anything from 5 to 10 for any copy of it is pretty good. Those box sets, though, I'm not sure how rare that one from 2020 is. I don't even remember seeing that on store shelves, so that might be upwards of 15 to 20. 3-pack, again, I didn't know that one existed either, so it might be the same price. You pay whatever you feel comfortable with. We'll go with that. Well, folks, that wraps up our home media review on Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, and that wraps up Season 4 of Home Media Reviews. For my first really big themed season, I had a lot of fun here. It was really fun to see a bunch of movies that I've either haven't seen in a long time or some of my favorite animated stuff. It was a nice mix, I think, of studios and animation styles. I just think this season as a whole was very well-rounded. I don't think I had one not recommend this entire season. It got close with Hotel Transylvania, not gonna lie. That one was kind of an eek over to Green Arrow status, but for the most part, I liked every movie that I saw for this season. So what can I tell you about the future of this channel and the future of home media reviews? Well, I can tell you that there will be a Season 5. I'm already in pre-planning mode for that. I'm kind of narrowing down my list of movies that I'm going to be covering for that. That'll be coming out next year. We have a ton of supplementals coming up over the next couple of months. I think all throughout September and most of October is supplementals. At least that's how it is on the schedule right now. And there will be another Christmas miniseries coming up in, I think it starts at the end of November and it goes up until I think a week prior to Christmas. But once we get closer to that date, I'll throw out a dedicated update, because right now I'm still trying to finalize some dates for that stuff. But as of right now, there will be supplementals for the next couple of months, and then prior to Christmas, there will be a Christmas mini-series like there was last year and the year before that. Season 5 is in pre-production right now, narrowing down the movies that I'm going to be watching for it. And in regards to the numbers for this season, I'm incredibly happy with the stuff I've been able to put out for this year. And as far as other stuff on the channel, well, most of you guys don't watch my other stuff, let's be honest, in terms of the view counts. But for those of you that do, there'll be more of what you normally see. The Incredible Hulk Let's Play is going to be shot this week. And it's probably going to be out within the next couple of weeks. It might be out at the beginning of September, actually, if I get everything right with that. More reviews of Thomas One Railway products. I've got a stack of stuff just waiting to be reviewed sitting on my floor on my review set, so that'll be good. I've also got some remakes in the works. I can't tell you what they are just yet because they're part of projects that I'm not allowed to talk about, or else I will be shot dead in the street. But just know there'll be at least one, maybe two new remakes by the end of the year. So I want to thank you all so very much for sticking with me throughout the kind of hectic production this last season has had. Not as hectic as season 3, I can tell you. I held it together way better than I did during the production of season 3. But there were some delays, and that's just going to happen. We're just going to have to accept that. I'm no longer in a phase in my life where it's feasible for me to get new stuff out every week. Unfortunately, that's what happens when real life takes over and you have a job and you have a fiance that you're planning a wedding with and a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on in your life. When YouTube is not your main priority or your job or your source of income, you just don't put a lot of emphasis on it. And that's not to say that I've been neglecting YouTube. Far from it. It's probably my favorite hobby I take part in now, but it's just not it's not on the top tier of my priority list, if that makes sense. I had to outline that in a comment to somebody who was a little bit rude. So as I said, thank you all so very much for watching this season of Home Media Reviews. I can't wait to show you some of the stuff I've got in the works for the rest of this year and the reviews coming up soon for Season 5. Thank you all so very much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Good night, everybody. Okay, I've made the executive choice to keep my closet door open for the rest of this recording because holy crap, it's hot in here. It's not even that hot outside, but apparently it decided to just be hot in my closet. Ugh. Editor me, put this as a blooper. Hello, how are you? You're a pretty handsome guy. Okay, that's it. Goodbye.